Welcome back to Eat Travel Life. Today we're making a delicious pie crust. Here are the ingredients you're going to need: flour, sugar, salt, shortening, butter, and some ice cold water. This recipe I doubled here, but the instructions will have for a single recipe, and it'll make 2 crusts. So you start by go ahead and adding in your flour. We are using all-purpose flour here. Next, you'll want to go ahead and add in your sugar. We don't use a lot of sugar, just a little bit. Go ahead and add your salt. If you're using salted butter, you're going to want to reduce the salt to a 1/4 teaspoon for this recipe. Go ahead and stir and mix everything together. Let's go ahead and get our shortening, and you can just go ahead and add this into your dough. Go ahead and grab your cold butter and remove it from the containers, from the papers. We're going to go ahead and chop this, and we're going to incorporate this into the flour. So it's going to need to be pea size. So I like to chop it into little pieces ahead of time. It just makes it work so much easier than trying to do that in larger pieces. It just gets the process started a little bit more. So once you've got all that chopped in, go ahead and put it into your flour and shortening. Once the butter's been added, you can go ahead with your spatula or spoon and stir it a little bit to get the shortening mixed around in the flour a little bit. Or you can just dive right in with clean, washed hands and or a pastry blender and get the flour and the butter and shortening mixed together. You're going to want to work as quick as possible with this. And I'm pinching the little pieces of butter in with the flour to try to make little flakes. I do this a lot when I'm making buttermilk biscuits as well. You just really want to get that incorporated. It is quite messy, and this might take you a few minutes to get through and do, but it is well worth to have it well incorporated. You want those flaky layers with your pie crust. This recipe takes about a cup of cold water, and you want to add a little bit at a time and stir and get it blended, and then add a little bit more and stir it in again. Depending on the humidity level in your area, you may need to add a little bit more, a little bit less. The goal at the end is to have it so it'll come together in a nice round ball and form together. So that's what we're looking for at this point. Just keep adding your water and checking. I think I ended up adding in 3/4 of a cup of water for this recipe. So it really depends also on how hard you're packing that cup when you're filling it to put your flour in. This dough is not going to come together in your bowl. We're going to pour it out. It's going to be a little shaggy. That's what this kind of looks like. It's not all put together. And we're going to form it into some dough balls. This is going to be messy, but we're going to try to push it together. We don't want to touch it too much with our hands because we don't want to melt the butter, but we're also going to be putting this into the refrigerator to set up. So just carefully work it together to try to form it together to get those flaky layers. See how I'm folding it over onto itself? You're going to want to do that to help and press it down and fold it onto itself. That is what's going to get you your flaky layers for a delicious, tasty pie crust. Once you get it roughly formed, we're going to place it in plastic. We're going to form it with the edges, and we're going to need this to chill for at least an hour before we're able to use it. So when the actual rolling comes into play, we'll worry about how it looks and if it needs more flour, or we can adjust it then. So we've got it kind of divided, and um, because this is a double batch, I've cut it into 4 different sections so that I can make my own dough balls, and I'm just pressing it in together, trying to form it up a little bit. And if with your dough, you can cut it in half, and that signifies that your 2 different pie crusts, and you want them to be as equal as possible. If you want to, you can weigh them out as well. So go ahead and just work them and get them pressed together and kind of into a disc shape, because that's we're going to put them in the plastic and let them set in the fridge, or you could freeze them as well and let them try to get as many edges together as you can. So using your plastic, I used press and seal, and I just pushed them together, wrapping them all the edges together, and then wherever it was not flat or there was a edge, if I'm freezing them, I don't want those edges to get frostbit, so I pat them all together. These will last in the refrigerator for about 3 weeks. So you could make pastries, pies, use them to make Pop-Tarts, um, empanadas, whatever you want. Make sure you date them and then uh, put them in the freezer or your refrigerator, whatever your preference is. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and pull them out. And they've got to sit for at least an hour in the fridge. And then you're ready to make your pie. You'll go ahead and throw down a light bit of flour, put a little flour on your rolling pin, and go ahead and roll out your pie crust into a circle. If you have a pastry sheet like mine, it actually tells you when you've reached 12 inches, which is perfect for a nice 9-inch pie. And then if you need to blind bake your pie, you can do that. I use some baking beads, and I use this when I'm making a banana cream pie, or a pie that doesn't need that I am not going to actually bake, and it needs to go back to the oven. You can make an apple pie. You can make a lattice apple pie, caramel apple pie, pumpkin pie if you wanted, banana cream pie. Look at that crust. Isn't that delicious? Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments what's your favorite pie you like to enjoy.